Inflation is a measure of the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising and subsequently purchasing power is falling. It is a normal part of the economic cycle, but when it becomes too high, it can have a number of negative effects on an economy and on individuals. One of the most direct effects of inflation is that it reduces purchasing power. This means that as prices rise, the same amount of money can buy fewer goods and services. For example, if the inflation rate is 2%, then a bag of groceries that cost $100 one year will cost about $102 the next year. The extra $2 may not seem like a significant amount, but over time, inflation can eat away at a person's purchasing power, making it more difficult to afford the things they need. Another effect of inflation is that it can lead to increased uncertainty and unpredictability. Businesses may struggle to plan for the future because they don't know how much they will have to pay for materials or how much they will be able to charge for their products. Consumers may also find it more difficult to plan for the future because they don't know how much they will need to budget for basic expenses. Inflation can also have a regressive effect on the distribution of wealth, as it disproportionately impacts those on fixed incomes such as retirees or those who live on a fixed salary. Those people will have a hard time coping with the rising prices. Furthermore, high inflation can lead to a decrease in investment and savings. When inflation is high, the return on savings is usually low, which can discourage people from saving their money. Similarly, when inflation is high, the real rate of return on investments is also low, which can make it less attractive for people to invest their money. To combat the negative effects of inflation, many governments use monetary policy tools such as setting interest rates or controlling the money supply. However, these tools can have their own drawbacks and may not always be effective in controlling inflation. In conclusion, inflation can have a number of negative effects on purchasing power and the economy as a whole. While it is a normal part of the economic cycle, high inflation can lead to decreased purchasing power, increased uncertainty, regressive impact on distribution of wealth, and decreased investment and savings. It's important to keep inflation in check and to take steps to protect oneself from its negative effects. Another important effect of inflation on purchasing power is that it can lead to a decline in the standard of living for individuals and households. As prices rise, people may have to cut back on their spending, which can mean sacrificing certain luxuries or even necessities. For example, if a family can no longer afford to buy meat every week because of rising prices, they may have to switch to a vegetarian diet, which could have a negative impact on their health. Similarly, if a retiree can no longer afford to heat their home during the winter because of rising energy costs, they may have to suffer through cold weather. Inflation can also lead to a decline in productivity as well, as business may unable to afford to pay their workers same wage as before. They may have to reduce the number of employees or cut worker benefits. This can lead to less productive business and decreasing in the workers' standards of living. Inflation can also have a negative impact on international trade and investments. When a country has high inflation, its currency can become less valuable, making its exports more expensive and less competitive on the global market. This can lead to a decline in international trade, which can further harm the economy. Additionally, when a country has high inflation, investors may be less likely to invest in it, which can also lead to a decline in economic growth. There are some strategies that individuals and households can use to protect themselves from the negative effects of inflation on purchasing power. For example, investing in assets that tend to rise in value during inflation, such as real estate or precious metals, can help to preserve purchasing power. Additionally, budgeting and saving money can also help to mitigate the effects of inflation, as it will allow individuals and households to have a buffer against rising prices. In conclusion, inflation can have a detrimental effect on purchasing power and the overall economy. It can lead to a decline in the standard of living, productivity, international trade and investments. It's crucial for individuals and households to protect themselves by investing in inflation-resistant assets, budgeting, and saving money. Governments also have a role to play in keeping inflation in check through monetary policy tools. One more thing to consider is that inflation also can affect business owners and entrepreneurs. When the costs of production and raw materials increase, companies must either absorb the additional cost and see a decrease in profit margin or raise their prices, which may in turn lead to decreased sales. This can make it difficult for businesses to stay competitive and maintain profitability. Another important point is that high inflation can also lead to the erosion of public trust in the economy and institutions, as well as lead to more political instability and social unrest. This is because people tend to lose faith in the ability of their government and central bank to control inflation and preserve the value of their money. In addition, it is also important to note that inflation can vary in different sectors of an economy. For example, some sectors like healthcare, education, and housing may have a higher inflation rate, which will affect purchasing power more significantly than others. To sum up, inflation affects purchasing power by decreasing the value of money over time. This can have a range of negative consequences, including decreased standard of living, productivity, international trade, investments, and even affect business owners, entrepreneurs, and can lead to a loss of public trust and instability. To mitigate the impact of inflation, it's essential for governments to implement effective monetary policies and for individuals and households to invest in inflation-resistant assets, budget, and save money. Additionally, it is important to be aware that inflation can vary in different sectors and can affect some groups of people more than others.